Hey, what's up, boxing fans? How's it going? Um, I've been thinking about making some comments about the fights that are coming up, April 18th, um, 2015. That's today. If you're listening, uh, maybe it's in the future. Maybe you're in present day and it's not April 18th, 2015. But those are the fights I'm talking about, and it's three that are coming up. Is Ruslan Provodnikov versus Lucas Matisse. You got Terrence Crawford versus Thomas Delorme, and you got Chavez, uh, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Andres Fanfara. Now, I guess the one I really want to get on first is Terrence Crawford versus Thomas Delorme. Um, Now, all of these fights are relevant. You got a lot of fights, going on just about every day of the week almost. Because boxing is a international sport. It might not be the most popular sport in the U.S., but it is a very popular sport because everybody boxes um, around the world. So from east to west, there are boxers everywhere. Now, going back to the Terrence Crawford Thomas Delorme fight, this is kind of like a coming out party for Terrence Crawford. Not necessarily to say, because he was Boxer of the Year like 2014, bar none. But that was at a different weight class. It's a 135. Okay. Um, he's been having weight issues, like many other fighters, because they, in my opinion, don't fight at their natural weight. I guess they walk around weight, but to me, all these fighters they weight drain themselves to give themselves the advantage because maybe a lot of these guys won't be as good if they moved up in weight because every fighter is doing this yo-yo thing, So you might be fighting a guy that's technically naturally bigger than you, but yet he was able to cut 25 pounds and get down to your weight division. You did the same, but you was only able to cut maybe 10 pounds. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. So he's moving up in weight and he's fighting Thomas Delorme. Now, Thomas Delorme, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was campaigning at 147, 147, but he got beat up. He suffered a loss. Um, I don't want to make this video too long, but I don't remember who he lost to, but it was to Luis Carlos Abregu. That's who he lost to. And right after that, he went right back down in weight. Uh, BoxRec, BoxRec doesn't show the weight classes anymore for some reason. I don't know when that happened, but the thing I noticed this is not a prediction video, but I just want to say this. I just want to give my opinion on what I think is going to happen. Is that it was kind of like a prediction, but to me, I'm not gonna break it down and say, hey, go with this pick and stuff like that, or making this like a gambling pick. I just want to give my opinions on who I think is gonna win, not necessarily prediction like you get points or something like that. It seems like that, like people give predictions like they want to be right so much, they make their opinion like so relevant, So anyway, I think Terrence Crawford is going to win, and I really think it's going to be by a knockout. I want to believe that this is going to be the one of two knockouts. The one of two. This being one of them because Thomas Delorme, uh, to me is He's one of those fighters where like in football, like the coach picks a guy, and the coach thinks this guy is good. That coach is gonna give that guy every chance to prove himself and stuff like that, just so the coach can be right. You get what I'm saying? So he's almost like a Peyton Manning, even though Peyton Manning's like a great quarterback, but he was sort of like selected. You get what I'm saying? So he was like the right pick. You get me? He was the safe pick, and that's pretty much how he plays. He plays safe, and that's probably the reason why he only won one Super Bowl, because he analyzed. He doesn't play football. He just analyzes it so much that he just can't do what comes natural. But that's okay. He had a successful career. But in Thomas Delorme's case, I don't think that's going to happen, right? Because he doesn't have it. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't have what it takes to get the upset in this one. Now he's big. Terrence Crawford is going to be available to hit, but what I notice is that when it comes down to getting into a firefight, Terrence Crawford has it. Terrence Crawford has the jab. He has the foot movement. And Terrence Crawford has that killer instinct. Terrence Crawford is like a rat. You know, a rat waits till you go to sleep, comes out at night. He gets into your house. He gets in your food. He like defecates on your food. And if you don't try to solve that problem, the rat problem, the rat will take over your house. And Thomas Delorme doesn't know how to solve the rat problem. And that rat problem is pressure. Thomas Delorme does not do well under pressure. And I think Terrence Crawford is just going to gnaw away, at Thomas Delorme's foundation and get into his house. He's going to be all up in his head. He's going to be all up in his face with that jab. And I think it's going to be either a knockout or a failure to return to the ring. Like I think they call it like a RTD or something like that. I mean, that's how it pops up on a box rec anyway. And that's like a failure to return to the ring. So it's like a knockout, but the guy just like pretty much like can no longer continue, I guess. So that I'm going with Terrence Crawford. I'm gonna do another video on Terrence Crawford, just on him. Period. Now, another fight that kind of like scares me, man. This one scares me. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Andres Fonfora. This scares me so much, man. For some reason. Because Chavez was always a big boy, man. I mean, I remember seeing him back in like '07. He was fighting I think he was at least fighting when he was younger, 147 pounds, could have sworn he was fighting at that weight. Then he was like slowly moving up to like 154, 160, and 168, and then now he's like, I think they're fighting at a catchweight once, almost like light heavyweight. He's fighting at light heavyweight. So, I mean, you only have to be within a certain amount of pounds to fight at a weight class. So, we're just going to say he's fighting at light heavyweight. That's what they got it at. That's what they got it as, a light heavyweight matchup. And I think both of the guys came in at around 170-some pounds. But we know when these guys rehydrate, they're going to be almost like 200 pounds, right? Especially Chavez, because I think he has, I don't know, I think it's not necessarily a weight issue, but a motivation issue. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think he's like that desperate for cash. And then he has a name that necessarily he doesn't have to work for. So he doesn't have to boost his profile, because his dad, Chavez, he pretty much did all the work for him, But Fonfara had a good outing against Stevenson. And if you're gonna stand in front of him from far, I've seen him fight many times. Especially live because he's based out of Chicago. I seen him fight live a lot, and he can do some damage. He can get off some punches if you stand right in front of him. If you let it get a rhythm, he can do some damage. And Chavez, even though he can box, he takes punishment. You get what I'm saying? He takes a lot of punishment. So I don't know why he does that. He can box, but if you guys look at the weigh in and these press conference like photo ops, from far as bigger than Chavez Jr. So far as like looking down on this dude, like I would have beat you up, and he knocked down Adonis Stevenson, and even when he was knocked down like 2 or 3 times, he got back up. So both of these guys got grit. They got grit. So I think somebody's gonna get hurt in this fight, and someone's gonna suffer big time. And I think Chavez might lose this one, man. Yeah, to me he lost that first Brian Vera fight. He got outworked in that one, and he might get outworked in this one. Hopefully, he's taking his career serious and taking Fanfare serious, but because Fanfare is to me the bigger guy. He's used to this weight class, and he does have some pop, enough pop, to get rid of Chavez. And he got rid of Gabriel Campillo. Gabriel Campillo was outboxing him, but Fafara just hung in there and knocked Gabriel Campillo out. So anyway, that's the other fight that I think is gonna end in a stoppage. Ruslan Provodnikov versus Lucas Matisse. For some reason, it's gonna be an action packed. It's gonna be an action packed fight, but like for some reason, every time we think somebody's gonna get like not like it's a can't miss fight, pretty much. Oh, this is a can't miss fight. This is gonna be action packed. It's always like a downer, man. It's always those fights like that you think is gonna be like a one sided fight, or the fights that aren't advertised that end up being like the best fights, man. So sometimes you just gotta watch these fights, and you get gems every now and then, but you can't really predict it because it's like last week's fight, Peterson versus uh, Peterson versus what's his name? Andy Lee, yeah. Peterson versus Andy Lee. They're like, oh, it's gonna be a knockout. But I had a feeling it wasn't gonna be no knockout because both of them were knockout punches, and they never they never really knock each other out because they scared to get knocked out. Hell, so they get to boxing each other. That's what ended up happening. These guys end up boxing each other because they're both afraid to get knocked out, and I don't blame them because both of them went down. You know. So they played it safe. He was like, hey, look, it's like they had a mutual agreement. I throw a few jabs, you throw a few jabs. You don't knock me out, I don't knock you out. But anyway, in this fight, Lucas Matisse, I think is gonna just get outworked, and he's gonna lose a lot of these rounds because Ruslan Provodnikov only has one speed, and that's come forward like balls to the wall. And he doesn't look like he's a shot fighter at all. He's motivated, and Lucas Matisse is the right guy for him because Lucas Matisse has given up a lot of opportunities to how would you say separate himself from the pack. Danny Garcia, he didn't beat Danny. He couldn't outbox Danny. Danny is more like a flat-footed counter puncher. You get what I'm saying? Like I said, Danny's all about timing. Lucas Matisse couldn't do anything to get rid of Danny, and Danny was even pressuring him. And every time there was a firefight, when they had to stand their ground, Danny Lucas Matisse didn't get the best of the exchange. Danny did, So Ruslan as Richard Dwyer. I don't know if you guys heard of him. He's on YouTube. You know, likes to run red lights pretty much. And that analogy is, even though you technically supposed to stop, maybe bob and weave or something like that, or maybe to back up, readjust. Ruslan is not doing that. He's going straight forward for the kill. So you can throw jabs all day. It's not really going to matter. He's just going to come forward. And so, unless Lucas Matisse knocks out Ruslan Provodnikov, I got Ruslan winning by decision on that one. It's not a pick. It's not a prediction. This is how I feel about it. But if you want to take it as a pick, go ahead. But hey, that's it, man. That's all I got on it. I'm rooting for Ruslan. I like him. Lucas Matisse, he's all right. I think he had his time. His time kind of like came and went. Almost. He's just around. Ruslan, it's time for him to get the breakout because I feel as if he was cheated versus the Chris Algieri, fight. He put in a lot of good work versus Chris Algieri. So it'll be nice to see Ruslan bounce back and get a good win. Just from a heartfelt, fan perspective. All right, catch y'all later. Let me know what y'all think, man, and like and subscribe, or share the video if you like the video. And thank you for your time. All right, bye.